What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Buckeye-Film-Breakdown. As always, I am Jeremy. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate, and we just want to kind of start planting the groundwork for all things OSU Miami. Before we hop into the film breakdown later this week, we're going to do that deep dive with you, obviously. We just wanted to kind of talk about some of the stuff going around. A lot of media these last couple days. Both teams, both head coaches, been in front of some microphones, some of the star players. One team seems to be saying all the right things. Another team's got a little bit of swagger to them, and it might not be the way that you think it's going to go. Obviously, the big storyline that's came out this week, though, is Ryan Day has taken over play calling. Brian Hartline will still be coaching wide receivers, but as far as the actual play calls, it's going to run through Coach Day. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do. I think this is a very difficult time for Coach Hartline. Being in a situation where you're trying to run a program, you just offered Angelo Smith. You're putting yourself in a tough spot where you have to put USF first. Like you can't do it any other way. USF has to come first. And so how you navigate that and call plays, I think it's extremely difficult. A lot of Buckeye fans point back to Tom Herman and when he did it before he took, I think it was the Houston job.
Yep.
It was a different time. Like the playoffs was a lot different. Like the calendar was a little different. You didn't have to deal with a lot of things at the transfer portal like we do now. Like it was just a different time. So he could really lock in on football and then say, okay, I'm going to ride off in the sunset and go. This is completely different. He's still building his staff. He's still hiring people. Like this is not something that you can take lightly. And then on top of that, give everything and your all to go beat the Miami Hurricanes. And so I think this is the right decision by Coach Day. And I think it shows a lot of humility by Coach Hartline to kind of just admit that I need to take a step back. And Buckeye fans, I think we have to understand. I know we all get wrapped up in we don't want to see 13 personnel and 14 personnel, and Coach Day better not do that. Coach Day brought this offense into this new era of college football, and we need to remember that. And we need to remember why these quarterbacks come to this school. We need to remember why these receivers come to this school. It's because we spin it. We need to remember those things. There are a lot of good things that Coach Day does as a play caller. I think it's going to be perfectly fine. I think it's a really good decision. And it allows these young coaches, Coach Fessler, Coach Key, Coach Bowen, step up because they're still auditioning for raises on the staff. They're still auditioning to potentially be the play caller next year. Let's show me what you got, and let's show what you got. I mean, Coach Key specifically probably wants to be the receiver coach. And with being the receiver coach is going to come a pay raise and potentially being the co-OC. So what better way of showing that I'm ready for this than to kind of take on this role with Coach Day? And so I think it's a good thing. And it takes a lot off of Coach Hartline and puts the Buckeyes in a much better spot to have to not deal with distraction.
So you hit on it with Keenan Bailey, who Coach Day did say will have a major part of the play calling. The entire offensive staff will have a say, but Coach Key will have more of a say, which ironically, Jeremiah Smith also discussed Coach Key this week, saying he's been in the wide receiver room more, which makes sense. Tyler Bowen, I'm sure, can absorb a lot of the tight end coaching. That allows Coach Key to go to the receivers who obviously need more prep. There's more expected out of those guys. And with unlimited coaches, who do we always see right beside Ryan Day? I'm not saying that he's gonna have a say, but you don't think that if Tim Henton sees something, he's not gonna convey it to Ryan Day?
Oh yeah. Well, and Coach Hinton has always stayed super involved with the tight ends as well. And
Right.
So, people forget that Coach Hinton was the tight ends coach for a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when Coach Meyer moved Coach Hinton into the special assistant to the head coach job. There were a lot of people that were upset about that. Nick Vanette, Jeff Hireman,
Yep.
they really spoke out against that because Coach Hinton was their guy. And so Coach Hinton is well respected in that tight end room. You saw, we're going to talk about it here soon. So, a couple of the guys who lost their black stripe, Brody Lennon, gave Coach Hinton a shout out when he was talking to the team. And so there are 2 or 3 guys in that tight end room coaching wise that can step up while Coach Key goes to work with Coach Jordan and the receivers. And I think that's good. I think, me personally, we don't know this, but I think Coach Key is going to end up being the receiver coach. That's just me. I think it's the natural thing to do. I just think it is his time. I think he's going to see that natural raise and that natural rise similar to Coach Hartline. And so I just think that's the right thing to do. And I think they've got the right guys in the tight end room that can really step up. And Coach Bowen and the other offensive line coaches can step up and take a brunt of the tight end room as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan Day last called plays in the Cotton Bowl against Missouri. Now, that was Missouri's Super Bowl for one.
Yeah.
That was the win. I don't even know that I want to call it a win for them because you were playing Ohio State's practice squad in a lot of ways. And that sounds awful, but the most important spot on the field, quarterback, Devin Brown gets hurt. Lincoln Keenholz had no snaps with the first team. It was just a debacle of a game. And just like we've talked about in the new world of college football, there are certain games that just don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And to Ohio State, that game didn't mean anything. And that's not an excuse. Missouri scored more points than Ohio State.
Yeah.
But did you get Ohio State's best effort? No. So a lot of Ohio State fans, I think that's why they're sour toward Ryan Day coaching or calling plays, because with the injury to Devin Brown, you saw that 13 personnel. You saw 14 personnel. We've seen it in the goal line in the red zone this year, and people hate it. But there's a place for it. Do I think Ohio State's built for it? That's something we'll dive into deeper when we do the actual film breakdown. Because I'm really excited to see, that Miami front versus the Ohio State O-line that struggled. Another piece that did come out from Ryan Day, we'll just go ahead and hit on that, is he made comment of everyone in the facility is pissed off. Is the Death Star about to get activated? I don't know. We saw Jeremiah's response to not winning the Blitnikoff, which, did you know Paid in Full is not on Netflix right now? Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
And then when Miami won, Jeremiah tweets out the devil emoji.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, and Jeremiah Smith says, I should have been out 3 to 4 weeks with my injury, but he willed himself into the Team Up North game. Jeremiah Smith also had interesting quotes this week. That he was asked a question about being from South Florida. Do Miami folks still have resentment toward Ohio State for the 2003 Fiesta Bowl? He goes, yeah. He's like, you see it all the time, which he's not wrong. Miami fans have hung on to that forever. But then Jeremiah takes it to another level, and he goes, that's okay, though. We got something for him on New Year's Eve. Jeremiah is talking his mess, and he's not the only Buckeye talking his mess. And that's kind of surprising to me, because you would have thought that Miami would be the ones talking mess, because it's just, the U invented swagger. Jeremiah also made a comment about, yeah, I need to crank it up a little bit now. Almost like it's a go time thing. Was asked about it getting chippy, and he goes, I'll probably be the one being chippy. I mean, what do you think about Ohio State kind of showing this? It's us against the world, but we're going to carry ourselves with some serious swagger.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've earned the right to do that. I know things didn't go our way against Indiana, but when you get into the when you get into the playoffs, it's a brand new season. And they proved that last year, when they went on the run that they went on, and they are the defending national champs. And so I think they've earned the right to do that. And I think they should walk around pissed off. And I think they should walk around with a little bit of swagger as well. I think if anybody on that team has earned the right to do that, it is Jeremiah Smith. he is the best receiver in the country. He is arguably the best player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so he backs it up with not only his play, but his work ethic. I mean, you and I have talked about it at length on this podcast, the work ethic in practice. He's not one of those guys that is all about the flash and all those things. Like, he backs everything up with the work that he puts in. And so I think he's going to definitely be amped up, and I love seeing that from him. I think when he is amped up and playing with swagger, I think he plays better. I think there are certain players that we've had in the past who get amped up and talk that mess and aren't as good when they play that way. You know, and I rather him be this guy, this humble giant at times, and then turn into this monster when we need him to be. I rather him be that way, because that's when he is at his best. You know, when he was talking about how he felt like he should have won the Biletnikoff, he still didn't slight Malachi Lemon. Like he said, like, he's going to be a first round draft pick. Like, he's still a dog. He's still a really good receiver. But it also, I need to do better. I need to work harder. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then he went on to talk his mess about Miami. Like, you know what I mean? There's still that, you know, I'm not going to disparage the people who win these awards. I'm not going to disparage who I go up against, but I also want to remind them I am Jeremiah Smith. And so I'm going to go out there and do my thing. And I love seeing that. I love seeing Caden McDonald talk his mess as well, man. Like, listen, you've earned the right to do that. You've been underrated your whole entire career. You've been underrated your whole entire high school career. Now you're going to be on the national stage. You've dominated all season long. Like, yeah, go talk your mess, man. Like, it's okay to do that, because I think you can back it up. And I think the coaches love seeing that from some of these guys, man, because they know their work ethic and their play on the field is going to back it up. Now, there are some guys on the team that I bet they would be like, hey, that's not you. Just go out and play your game. Like, if Julian Sayin was coming out here talking crazy, like, they'd be like, all right, Julian, let's chill. We know that's not you, right? If Bo Jackson was out here talking crazy, they would be like, all right, Bo, like, let's relax. It's not you. But when you get these guys who have been, you know, the consensus All-Americans and all that, you know, let's do our thing, man. So I love it, man. Go out there and play with that swagger and do what you got to do to get a W on New Year's Eve. And, you know, the Miami Hurricanes are definitely going to come ready to play, and they're going to be amped up for JJ. I know that. It's going to be so chippy with JJ. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I can't think of the corner's name, because Miami fans right now are talking about how he locked Jeremiah up in high school. Jeremiah scored a game-winning touchdown on a slant in this same game. You know, yes, the guy made a play. There's a video of him on, you know, a fader out in the end zone, underthrown ball. So easy for him to make a play on. But, like, he's good. Miami secondary is great. There's no, you know, bar none. We'll be honest. You know, we keep it real. Miami's defense is legit. Are they everything the national media is making them out to be right now? I kind of have my doubts in some ways, and we'll dive into that when we put it on film.
Yep.
You know, Jake has made mention before of the one and probably only shortcoming that Ruben Bain has. And it's not a huge deal until you're going against an offensive line that, yes, they struggled the last time we saw them. But up until that point, the Ohio State offensive line was playing with a mean streak.
Yep.
And if you can keep Ruben Bain at bay, could get interesting. Now, Ruben Bain has done a phenomenal job of opening up alleys for I can't think of the other edge guy. I'm gonna murder his name.
Yeah, Mesdor. I can't say it. Yeah,
I don't want to. But now that dude's also really, really good.
Very good. Very talented.
You know, their middle's good, but, you know, their secondary can be gotten. You know, yes, they have a lot of turnovers, but they can be gotten. So I just love the fact that it is going to be chippy, and I love it. One thing, speaking of the offensive line, before I forget to throw it out there, Tegra Shabola will be out. You know, Tegra's been a roller coaster this year. We've talked about it in nauseum. Sounds like Josh Padilla will be back. Him and Gabe Van Sickle will be battling it out for that spot. This is kind of like last year. You're going into the playoff. You've been trying to tinker the O-line, and now you need a guy to step up at the guard position. Who's it going to be? And, what does that mean for that O-line to be kind of sort of breaking in a new body again?
Yeah, man, it's literally almost identical to what we dealt with last year with our guy Luke. I mean, Luke came in and he was rotating at guard with Carson Hinsman and I think somebody else, and then Luke starts to take off and it catapults him into being all Big Ten, All American, things like that this year. And I think this is a great opportunity for Josh Padilla and Gabe Van Sickle to really put themselves on the map. We saw what Gabe Van Sickle can do when he's in. We saw what Josh Padilla can do when he's in and healthy. And this is a perfect opportunity for them. And I know Tegra, people give Tegra a hard time. We've given Tegra a hard time on this show as well. We know the work that he's put in to be a really good player, a great player for us. He's really worked at it. And it's unfortunate that an injury is going to sideline him for a big game, because I'm sure this is a national game. He wants to show that he's ready for this challenge of playing this Miami front. Unfortunately, he's going to be out, and it's going to be the next guy up. And so I think this offensive line room is equipped because they've already had to do this once before. And, you're going to lean on guys like Luke, who were in this spot last year. You're going to lean on guys like Austin Sareveld, who were in this spot last year, playing multiple spots and rotating with Luke as well. So, I think this offensive line group will be fine. They're going to make the proper adjustments and tweaks to what they struggled with against Indiana. And I think they will be improved. If you guys remember, when Gabe Van Sickle came into the game, the offense started moving the ball down the field very methodically, and good, bad, or indifferent. And we just didn't get the ball into the end zone, missed a field goal. We left points off of the scoreboard. And so those are some things that we'll have to improve, but Gabe showed that he was ready to go. And so I think the offensive line will be fine, and I think they will be much better. But I feel for Tegra in this situation, because I know how bad he probably wants to be out there.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Coach Dace used the term a few weeks. So obviously if the Buckeyes win, you've got another turnaround the next week. It'll be interesting to see where we go there. I also wanted to hit on something, because I think the national media is really starting to buy the Miami hype again. You've got to remember, there was a point in the season where it was Miami's better than Ohio State. Miami's the only team that can play Ohio State to a close game. Well, we're going to get it, and we're going to see. Everybody, Texas A&M looked susceptible on defense, and Miami's running game looked great. Mark Fletcher averaged 10 yards a carry, 170 yards in the game. Texas A&M's run defense was like 41st in the country. So, doing a little deeper dive, Miami is the 76th ranked rushing team in the country, 152 yards a game. Nothing. I mean, that's a good number, but to do what Miami's going to need to do against Ohio State and essentially take the ball out of Carson Beck's hands, because you don't want this game to come down to Carson Beck. Like we said after the game on Saturday in the snap reactions, that Carson Beck has looked better. He's got the second highest completion percentage in the country behind Julian Sayin, but you don't want the game to fall on his shoulders. So that brings you to Mark Fletcher, who, again, former Buckeye commit, looked great Saturday against A&M. Mark Fletcher has 4 100-yard games this year. Mark Fletcher also has 4 games with less than 40 yards in the ACC. That's kind of mind-blowing when you break it down.
That is crazy to think about. And, I'm looking over their schedule right now. Miami's good, man. They are a good football team, and I think Mark Fletcher is a very good back. I said that on our reaction episode. I think he's a monster, man. I think he's got potential to really hurt you. And you saw what he did against A&M, but you're going to sell out and make sure it's putting it on Carson Beck's arm. And if he beats you and he has to go 35 for 40 for 350 and 4 touchdowns and he does it, then kudos to him.
Yep.
Ohio State's going to be ready to stop the run. And I can assure you of that. And they're going to put it on Carson Beck and Malachi Toney. They're going to make him have to make some plays. I'm sure they're going to have Caleb Downs traveling with him quite a bit. And so they're going to really put a lot of pressure on Carson Beck. There will be things that is done to stop the run. And so I'm not too concerned. I don't want to say I'm not too concerned because I am concerned. I think Mark Fletcher is really good. But I do think there will be things in place. And I think Coach Patricia has had enough time to put together a very, very solid game plan to slow down their run game and get them into some not so advantageous situations that are going to force Carson Beck to have to read through an entire progression and make a throw. I do think the pass rush will have to be very good in those situations. And if we're able to do that, I think our defense is going to do some very good things. I mean, if you look at their schedule, obviously they had the big loss to Louisville. They had also a loss to SMU. Mark Fletcher had not a ton of yards rushing in the Louisville game, and he just had barely over 100 or had 84 in the loss to SMU. And so it is possible. And like you said, he only had 4 games where he had over 100 yards in ACC play. So he can be held underneath 100 yards. And I think if we do that we win. So I think we'll be okay. And even though he had this big game against Texas A&M, how many points did Texas A&M score or Miami score? Scored 10.
Right.
And so I think if we hold a team to 10 points, we should win. Unless, we are doing some things in the red zone that we don't like as much. But, that's neither here nor there. But I think we'll be fine when it comes to slowing down the run game.
Yeah, I got a message today from somebody, and it made me think for a minute. And it basically said that the Ohio State defense gives up 194 passing yards a game. And that person responded with, well, if Miami gives up 194 yards passing on New Year's Eve, they're going to win the game. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Because I legitimately see a world where Ohio State scores twice and wins this game.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be a very low-scoring game. There's no doubt about it. It could be about 17-7 type game. You know what I mean? It could be very low-scoring. This could be a game where Ohio State, the offense is humming. It could be a game where Mark Fletcher goes off and Miami scores 21+. I could see this game going a lot of ways, but I could definitely see a very low-scoring game, and the first team that gets to 2 scores, is going to win, because I think both of these defenses are freaking good, man. Miami's defense, I got so much respect for that defense, man. They got some guys in a transfer portal that are not heralded recruits, and they just go out and play, man. And so listen, this is going to be a fun battle. As a defensive guy, I'm going to be excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be a war. We are, as we record this, we're 8 days away. And by almost 8 days to a T, we should know something as it sits. Before we close down the Miami OSU portion, before we dive into just a couple of quick hitters, I know you were a young pup in 2003. Was it pass interference?
Yeah, well, of course it was pass interference. Depends on the camera angle, I guess.
Right.
I'm going to say it's pass interference because the ref called it pass interference. But I will also say, don't get cooked on 4th and 11 or 4th and 14 or whatever it was, like you did, whatever the cornerback's name was, and you're not in that position, right?
Yeah.
All you got to do is defend the sticks, and you win the game, but you didn't. And Michael Jenkins cooked you, and you put Ohio State in that position. And so there are so many things that happened in that game. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor, one of the greatest safeties of all time, hold on to the ball, you're not
Yep.
in that position in the game, right? There's so many things that happen in the game that people will be like, oh, well, pass interference. It's like, yeah, but Miami could have really put the game away had they just done a couple things, and they didn't. And Ohio State took advantage of it, and they won. Like,
Yeah.
get over it. You had opportunities to beat us since then. You did beat us in, what was it, 2011? Like,
Timeout.
I
Joe
mean, goodness.
Bowserman was the
Well,
quarterback in that game.
That is true. That is true.
Yo, that does not count.
That is true. No shade to Joe Bowserman, man. No shade to Joe Bowserman.
I think we've all seen the meme of Joe Bowserman's completion chart though.
Yeah.
But the problem with that whole call was he originally signaled holding. If he calls holding, I don't think anybody has an issue.
Yeah.
He struggles to get the flag out of his pocket. That makes it even worse. But there are two plays in regulation that if they both get called properly, which now that we have review, one of them would have, game never goes to overtime.
Yeah.
Chris Gamble, I think it was Chris Gamble, got held coming out of a break to the point that you can see the jersey. No call. There was a toe tap that would have been a first down Buckeyes. Basically, at that point, you go victory formation. That was called out of bounds.
Yeah.
So many coulda, woulda, shouldas in that game. And to this day, it is still one of the greatest college football games ever.
Oh, no doubt.
It was kind of boring in a way because it was higher scoring because of the overtimes, but it really was a defensive game.
It really was,
man. But the Miami faithful, they're ready for their get back, and we'll see what we think prediction wise when we dive into the film. So just a few real quick hitters before we hop off of here. Slate hit on it earlier. We had two Ohio guys lose black stripes. Eli Lee, Brody Lennon, both of them officially part of the team. Former Buckeye quarterback Aaron Noland falls victim basically to Lenoris Sellers having a terrible year and coming back. So Aaron Noland is now in the portal. And the class of 27 has grown by, or 26, I'm sorry, has grown by one. Legend Bay is officially a Buckeye. Just real quick, 30-second nugget on the Legend Bay situation.
I don't know. It doesn't even make sense, man. It was the craziest situation. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. And I'm just glad he's a Buckeye because he is electric. And so getting him in this class, he's a true gadget player. You could put him in the backfield. You could put him out the receiver. Absolute monster with the ball in his hand. And so getting him in this class was vital. And I'm glad Tennessee did the right thing and let him out of his or release him from his scholarship obligations and let him sign with the Buckeyes. And now he's coming to Columbus. It's going to be a good situation.
Absolutely. So with that, we're going to hop off of here for the night. We'll see you guys later this week when we do the actual film breakdown preview for the OSU Miami game to get that out so you've got an appetizer for the week. Hop onto the Substack if you're not already subscribed. Find the tier that works for you and subscribe to it. And with that, we will see you guys later.